Listen up. Average is not an option. Are you up to par? Get ready to tee off. Jim Paar is a badass with a bow tie when it comes to knowledge. Watch out because he is lethal when it comes to 10xing your business or building a new business. Welcome, Jim Paar.
Okay, let's kick this off. I am honored and feel blessed to have Forbes Riley today on my podcast. Let me give you a little bit of history behind Forbes Riley. She has grossed almost $3 billion in revenue from products such as Jack LaLanne juicers and many other products. And, she has sat side by side by pitchmen like Billy Mays, the master in pitching products. We all know who Billy Mays is. Hosted TV shows such as the ESPN X Games. She's been on TLC, ABC Family, international best-selling author of a recent book, Verdition, which we all have to go on Amazon and get that book. It's an incredible book, especially if you're in acting or music or whatever. Creator, founder of the Spin Gym, and selling more than 10,000 a month since 2010. And she has a great story behind that. Sits on the Hall of Fame of Fitness, speaks on stages around the world, changing lives every day. She was a speaker at the 2018 10X GrowthCon, the largest business event in the world. Her latest product that my wife just loves is Forbes Flawless Skincare. And my wife can't get enough of that. And she is really known as the Tony Robbins of women. She impacts lives all over the world. And I just want to give a big shout out. Let's welcome Forbes Riley. Forbes, thank you so much. I am honored and blessed to have you on the show today.
I'm feeling like your wife. I need you to wake up every morning and say those amazing words to inspire me. Jim, thank you so much. And I'll give a big shout out to you and your wife. We did meet formally at 10X. You guys came up to me, embraced me. I embraced you. We seem to have changed each other's lives. Jody's got 2 books since then. You're launching podcasts and teaching people so much. You came to my Forbes Factor. You changed our world. And I love the impact that we've had on each other. And thank you so much for this opportunity.
Thank you, because I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for you. Definitely. My wife, everything.
Man. Thank you for saying that.
As she had mentioned, my wife was a bestseller because of Forbes Riley. And but I want to ask something, because this is really a show for entrepreneurship and to show people that there's real struggles in life. And you obviously have Forbes Factor that's coming up in February to bring people from that bottom, low, struggling level to successful and making, 5, 6, 7 figures. So tell me, let's go into your story, into the backstory, and talk a little bit about that, your struggles, because you weren't always perfect as you are now.
Well, not only not so perfect, it is Sunday after I've been traveling for the last 2 weeks and I'm getting ready to get on a cruise. So if you notice, Jim has no hair, right? Which is a great thing. He looks sexy as all get out. Many men don't. I have a lot of hair that needs to be colored and blow dried and straightened and all of that. And it's really cute when it's done up. And I know you've seen me here. This is how cute my hair can look when it's done. Look at that. That takes an hour. And I often say to men who are bald, if you're not millionaires, shame on you, because you have there's 365 days in a year. Let's take off weekends and some holidays. That's 300 days, 300 hours. 300 hours, oh wait, that's for my hair. Then there's false eyelashes and makeup, because not only is the hair, but see that face? Look, yes. So my makeup time when I'm on television, about an hour, hour and a half, that you apparently don't have to do every day. So as a woman entrepreneur, let me tell you something, a little bit of a disadvantage that you can use to your advantage. A couple of my friends just put out a morning ritual book. I think my next book is Bullshit, Nobody Ages Gracefully. The secrets to getting set in the morning as a woman and how you can utilize that time listening to podcasts, being inspired by motivational speeches. But I appreciate that. So that's where I'm wearing the hat. I often say, Jim, that life happens for you, not to you. And what does that mean? We all go through struggles. And I'm going to share with you, as a human being, you will break a bone, end up in an emergency room, have somebody break your heart, trip over something, and maybe in my case, break your nose. You'll get fired. You'll get disappointed. You'll get all kinds of things. You'll have somebody steal money from you and hit and run, and somebody die. That's the worst, right? All of those things I guarantee will happen to you. Most of us are not prepared for that. We're just not. We think if it's not perfect, if it's not Father knows best, we must be something wrong. We're not enough. But I've come to understand through a long list of trials and tribulations, some of which I will share if it inspires you, that you must be prepared to understand that everything that happens, if you can turn it around and use it. You know, I lost both my parents. That broke my heart. For years, I didn't do much of anything. And now I stand on stage and I edify my dad, who was this inventor who didn't get his ideas out to the world, who struggled and died of 70 of smoking. One, I'm a huge anti-smoking advocate. I helped inventors bring their little ideas into multi-million-dollar infomercials and home shopping, and I'm committed to that. I would not have done that if my dad had been successful. His struggle became part of my journey, and that became a gift to give other people. And every time something bad, or you perceive it bad, if you got fired from a job, yay, good, God closed a door on you and said, that's not what you're supposed to be doing anyway. I look at our dear friend Nicole. When I met her in the hallway at 10X, she was struggling. She was in HR. She is a light bulb. She is an electric, amazing, stunningly physical human being who had whatever she had in her past holding her. And not only did she go through Forbes Factor to help do that, and it's why I do this class, but she quit her job. She's doing her own thing, making more money, having a better life, but she thought losing her job was the worst thing in the world.
Right.
We don't seem to have a mechanism as humans. You know what we do, Jim, when something bad happens? Oh, it'll be okay. Don't worry. It'll get better. You know, no. Embrace that happened. Now, I'm going to share and throw it back at you. Your wife had probably one of the most horrific stories I've ever heard of a little girl losing her innocence.
So
she
true.
Could wallow in that. She could be a homeless chick on the side drinking vodka, right?
Absolutely.
Suicide. She took that story and realized that her strength and her courage to survive is now about empowering other women who don't have a mechanism. So that's what Forbes Factor is. And I'll tell you what, it doesn't matter if you're a beginner entrepreneur or a mega millionaire. I've had both. Odds are something in your past set up your hard drive like a computer with a little glitch in it. Somebody hurt you, told you weren't pretty enough, told you looked fat, and it's plagued you most of your life. I've done a lot of research. People who are wildly successful have had a very good start to life. Now, by the way, it doesn't mean you don't have two beautiful parents, and it doesn't nothing even really bad has to happen to you, but I will tell you what, I know a gentleman, Pedro, who has no arms and no legs. That's really tough. But it doesn't negate the other day when I broke my toe and I was in so much pain that my pain isn't also really valid. Got it?
Right.
So you must take your personal pain, not compare it to other people's, and learn how to harness it. Let me tell you something, Jim, I don't think without a coach that you can do this. Watch the Super Bowl, watch the playoffs. I got to tell you, the guys on the field, they're good. They're really good. But there's a coach in their ear. There's team members. There's other people watching their game because you and whatever you're doing, you're your coffee in your own cup. You cannot see the playing field, and you've got great ideas. You've got a vision. You've got a passion. And you're like, but I keep hitting my head. You know what? Get a coach. Get a mentor who says, whoa, wait a second. If you shift just that, you can make that play in your life. And that is what we've created at Forbes Factor. And I'll tell you, as a woman, and you can tell this, I've gone to a lot of other mentors and masterminds, but I like the little bit of nurturing that we do, a little bit of honesty. You've been through it. Do I sugarcoat anything?
No, in fact, I was going to say with Forbes Factor, first of all, you go there, the minute you walk in the doors, it's an experience. Because if you take the hallway to the right, Forbes Riley is the most transparent person that you're ever going to meet, because you walk down that hallway and you see the story of her life. Like, it is illustrated on the walls down this long hallway. And it is so true because, and you look at it and you get a picture for who she was, but then over those few days, which are incredible, and there's no agenda really, because she goes there, she gets there early in the morning, and it's late at night, and you don't realize that, like most events that you go to, speaker events, you're looking at your watch and you're like, okay, I've got dinner. But at this one, you don't even, time is like, you don't even realize where it goes. And at 8 o'clock at night, and you're like, this lady works with billionaires, you know, and you don't realize, but she is so invested in you. And your story of Broadway just really resonated and resonates with so many people, because it's just, you went through challenges and you fought, and you've always been a fighter throughout your life. And you really, speaking of the speaker world, you know, it's been a male dominant audience or stage for so many years. But when Forbes takes the stage, I can remember at 10X, she walked out of all the speakers, she had the most strength and the best walk of anybody. And it was just incredible. And so if you're able to experience Forbes Factor live in St. Petersburg at her personal studio, you will be blown away by the transformations that take place in that studio.
Well, I love you and adore you for those words. There are some videos that you guys can watch that help illustrate. So if you go back to my beginning, I have two beautiful middle-class parents, who never should have met and got married. My dad gave up whatever money his family had to marry my mom, which I later realized how cool that was for both of them. In fact, January 9th is 19 years my dad is gone, and I just celebrated that. And I was their first child. Everything seemed to be beautiful, but not really. My mom was an only child who had her own personal issues. She was always really overweight. She was 260 pounds, and she didn't do things with me and my baby sister like ride bicycles or swim. She always wore a muumuu. And one of the things when I talk about life happens for you, not to you, you get to make a decision. You can be like your parents, or you can be the opposite of your parents, but you've got to make some pretty solid decisions. And somewhere in the back of my head, some God-inspired voice said, you matter. You need to make a difference. And I've always known that. But then the world did some crazy things. I had a baseball bat shatter my nose. I had an odd, goofy, ugly nose. I had braces for 8 years. From the age 8 to 16, I had silver every time I smiled as a little girl. I had frizzy hair. I was overweight because we only ate fast food back then, didn't have a whole big budget. And I was really, really smart. Why do I put that in the bad things? Well, because it isolated me. I didn't have any friends. It was weird. Not only was I ugly, didn't play sports, couldn't catch a ball to save my life. And most of my early childhood was spent in front of the television. Now, it's funny because I let my kids play video games and watch TV because it worked for me. I saw how other people lived. I saw rich people. I saw travel around the world. I saw futures. I saw scuba diving. I saw James Bond. And I said, you know what? I said, I want to be James Bond. Not that I want to be the Bond girl. No, I want to be doing with the little scuba thing under the water. I want to be flying. Yeah. I wanted all of those things. Well, what was I doing? Well, I look back, that little girl was dreaming so freaking big. I had no money for those things. I had no idea how to, and I didn't get to do any of those things growing up. Vacation for us was pile everybody with a little motorhome and going down to Florida to see my aunt who lived in a trailer park. But I had a dream. And, you know, Martin Luther, he said that. It's pretty much all you need. Look around you. See that iPhone or see that computer, see whatever it is, see this book. This took me 3 years to write. It's all a dream. Somebody had a dream. Turn off your lights, because Edison had a dream that there could be light in the room. Only some people, though, actually spend all the time and energy to manifest their dream into reality. Those are called entrepreneurs. The rest of the people are called dreamers. Well, I had that idea for Post-its. I could have put bottled water in a bottle. Yet we all get gifted a lot of ideas in this world. The universe drops them all over the place. The entrepreneurs are the ones who are really stupid, who say, I don't need a 40-hour week. No, I don't need a job. I'm going to spend 80 hours, 24/7, because I'm going to make this happen. So do me a favor. Don't negate the dream and the passion and the money and the challenges. Like I said, my dad had all these dreams, and none of them came true in terms of building things and launching inventions. But he was also a magician. He flew airplanes. He had a partner, and he taught me to do all of these things. And he taught me to dream. And when he was dying, he actually said, kiddo, make sure that you get other people to leap into their lives. He said, just jump. And I have been doing that more lately than I've ever done before. Because when you give away stuff, and that's what Jim is doing with the podcast, that's what you're going to do when you have a charity, you're going to give more than you ever imagined. And that's, in fact, how you get what you dreamed of. Yeah.
So good.
Yep. Way to live.
Yeah.
I got very emotional what you said. You're very important to me in my life, and I'm just feeling like crying at the moment. I don't know why. And I got to tell you, it is a journey. It is not easy. If you have faint of heart, if you want to give up easily, do me a favor. Please don't be an entrepreneur. Please give your idea, dream, or product to somebody who's willing to suffer for it. See this thing? Okay? This is the greatest fitness product on the planet. And how do I know that? Baby, I've sold 1,500 fitness products before I got to this on a TV series called Fit TV. I have been on home shopping for 28 years. I've sold ellipticals. I've sold ab machines. I've sold everything that works. Nothing can you take on an airplane like this. Nothing can you sell in 90 seconds and make money. But I'm going to tell you something. This isn't easy. The guy whose company I helped kind of take from this, he'd been at it for 5 years, and he kind of gave it to me because he gave up. I get it. Not easy. It was a hunk of metal. Why would somebody want this? I was lucky enough and unlucky enough to be in a TV series on Discovery Channel called Pitchmen. 5 months they followed me while we launched this. And I thought, man, this is going to be the greatest thing. Until I understood that reality TV isn't always reality. And they made me look really bad on television. That was kind of funny. And they did it because it got ratings. Because, hey, we take the, the girl who thinks she knows everything and we kind of chop her down. Well, you know what it did for me? The next morning I woke up, Spin Gym was the #1 search word on Google all around the world, and Forbes Riley was #3.
Wow.
There's no such thing as bad press. But I said to my partner at the time, he said, what are you going to do now? I'm like, what do you mean? He said, well, nobody thinks it's going to work. And I said, they're wrong. And he looked at me going, they can't all be wrong. And I said, but they are. Now that's a pretty big statement to make. I don't encourage you as an entrepreneur to ever make that. If everyone tells you to go one way, you might want, and we're talking everybody. No one believed in this. But that is also the moment that heroes are born. I watched a motivational video this morning that said, your greatness is going to come when you're alone. It's not about having people who support you or people who hate you, but in that moment of quiet, when it's just you and you, to understand what is your strength, your passion, your commitment, what legacy do you want to leave? Just you, because it takes everything you have. I have been through hell and back. I have sat at U.S. Customs thinking they were going to literally throw out 22,000 of these and destroy my company. And I did something so miraculous, Jim. I got 12 people together that I didn't meet, and I inspired them to do something that we had to do. We had to black out a mistake we made on 44,000 DVDs. Let me tell you something. That was my Norma Ray moment. That was my moment that said there is no turning back. When everybody around the world on Discovery said you should go home, and people on YouTube, they said things about me that weren't true on the TV show. And I said, but I'm going to do this. And he looked at me and he said, but if we do this, it's going to take us mortgaging our house and our kids' education. I said, that's okay. Maybe I've never risked like that before. I was in my 40s when we decided to do this. And I'll tell you what, I had a girlfriend of mine sit there yesterday. It's now been 10 solid years. We've sold 2.1 million of these. Next year on your podcast, when we do the next January 2020, it'll be up to 10 million. I guarantee them.
I believe that. Yeah. And if you think about that, I always say that dreams and, success is 80% mind or even more and 20% physical work. And so if you can get your mind right and tell yourself and believe in something as much as, if you thought you were going to die in the next 15 minutes, you have to believe that much about your dreams. You can make it successful. But listen to what she said. She gave up everything, even put her family at risk because she believed in what was going to happen. And now 2.1 million Spin Gym sold. Amazing, amazing.
Let me ask you a question. You've been to Forbes Factor because the root of so many entrepreneurs, and I'm going to talk in just a minute about a branding concept and a way that people can actually elevate their own personal profile. I can make you a star. We have video. I own a television studio. All that is great. In fact, on my TV studio, people used to come to my talk show, and I started the day before actually coaching them on branding. People would come in for free because I said, look, I don't want to have you on my couch on a talk show version and not have you be as good as you can be. But Forbes Factor, and as I'm getting deeper and deeper into the work that I love doing, it's transformational on a level that allows you to understand you and to get out of your own way. To hear the energy and the passion with which I'm speaking, I have never personally had all this till a few years ago. I went through a seminar training in my 30s that started my journey. It was about 20 some odd years later, I concluded what I think everybody needs. If I could do Forbes Factor for everybody, I would. There's not a single person I've ever met who doesn't question their validity, if they're really enough, et cetera, et cetera. But you witnessed transformations in that. Can you help me pitch this to other people? What would you say inviting somebody? Our next one's February 8th to the 12th. We're doing them every 2 months in the studio. It's a small, intimate group, and it may not stay that way for very long. But while it is, and you have access to me, and I think you said that, it's cool. But what did you witness in people?
Yeah, so what I would say about Forbes Factor is when you go in there, it is your first couple of days are really finding yourself, because what I just said about your mind is if there's something, and like Forbes said just a little bit ago, if something is blocking you from success, you're just not going to succeed, and you have to unblock or unlock that hard drive. So for me, it was going in there. I had something from my childhood that was blocking me, and realized, and it was from an audition that I did being a child actor. I was like, and it was over a dang hamburger. And, but I felt responsible for it for so many years. And that was something that I was able to put aside. And this year have launched multiple programs and worked with multiple different people. I couldn't have done this without Forbes. But when you go in there, you go through that transition, that transformation. It's really figuring out who you are, getting over those fears, knowing that you have the speaking ability to get up there and speak to the world, and that you can make an impact to the world, because she brings out of you the good stuff, the destiny genes is what I would call them, and brings those out of you and finds your niche to make you great. And
actually, I'm going to go back because your fans and friends are going to watch this. Now, we initially did this, I think you guys came probably for Jody. I had a huge impact when I met Jody. She got all excited and got her book going. And I don't think that Jim realized when he walked into the room, because he's a pretty savvy business guy. He's incredibly smart, he's got great resources, has a swagger about him, he's got the bow tie on. I'm like, dude, he's got it all together. And we would all think that, right? Let me share with you. What he just revealed to you is something that happened when he was 5 years old.
Yeah.
What we didn't understand, and what I honor Jim for, is he was so open to let that go and let me get in there and kind of take out that thing, that ugly piece of clothing in your closet, and finally give it to charity.
Right.
And when he revealed it, you almost go, wait a second, that's what you're holding on to? But the truth is, it was his splinter that of all the amazing things he's created, you held on to this one thing that just kept gnawing at him. How did it feel when you finally let that go?
Wow. It was like the sky's the limit. I mean, it's like I can do anything now. And I feel confident in what I do. And I'm able to build that confidence in many, many people that I impact because of Forbes Factor. And it's her spending that one-on-one time, because we're in an intimate group, which is growing and growing. Every time you have Forbes Factor, it's growing and growing. And I was so blessed to be there at that time where it was, I think it was like 30 people at that time. And, but it just allows you walk out of that, you're exhausted by the end of the day because it's an emotional roller coaster. But here's what you learn is when you go from the mindset and the emotional side of it, she brings you into the business side of things and what you can do to build your business, gives you opportunities that you can use immediately to build a business. Say you don't have a product, a service, or whatever. She gives you opportunities right there in the studio that you can be a part of. And then you're able to leave there. Actually, I left there one day, and we were challenged to sell the spin gym. And to anybody on the street, first person that walked out the door, I grabbed my Uber driver, sold it to him, won a trip to Mexico. And,
Right. How many seminars do you get where you can actually win trips to Cancun and actually make money in class? Because I'm going to tell you, the other side of Forbes Riley is I'm a businesswoman. I'm sitting in a big house. I have a television studio. My pens are made out of diamonds. And it's about health, wealth, and happiness. So even though we get in and we do some of that, what's different about our world, and I got to let you really understand this, is I can fix some of those things, but then I need you to fly, make money, and live your dreams. You can only do that when you understand your business, your purpose. And bam, that's what we get to. We kind of wrap it up so that when you're on the way out the door, you've made money or won trips or just feel like you can conquer things and have a system. Yes?
Yes, absolutely. It's definitely a boot camp style seminar. I wouldn't even call it a seminar. It's a boot camp, life-changing training. There is no box to put it in, because everything in it would not fit in there. So it's incredible. Just watching in the group setting is even more powerful, because if you did one-on-one, you'd be like, okay, I went out of there and nobody's going to find out what I taught or said or whatever. But when you're in a group setting and you see the impact on each individual, and that everybody else in that room has similar things but different, and especially when they're bigger than what you had, and that's what's holding them back, and watch the transformation. It's just incredible. Like you mentioned, Nicole, and seeing like Tucker, and seeing these individuals change and their lives change, and they go independent, not relying on a 9-to-5 job, and being able to break out and do their own thing and have that freedom, success, everything else that goes with it.
I like to say the reason that you and I work so well together too is that you are a structures guy. You've built the car, and I think I'm going to provide the gas that keeps the car going. Because you can have a beautiful Ferrari, but if you don't have high octane fuel and you're running on gunk, the car's not going anywhere.
That's right.
And so one of the things, and we should get around to this because you and I could probably talk all day, and I'm loving this, is that how does it have value for other people? So it is about relationships. You can't do everything on your own. You need to learn how to delegate. You need to surround yourself with a mentor, a mastermind, coaching sessions, and all of those things are necessary to take your life to the next level. Now, unfortunately, I'm a little bit holistic. You're much better off if you can niche yourself. There's definitely niches or riches in the niches. So as we talked about, number one, I have a fitness product. I own a fitness empire, actually. And that's exciting. I'm still on home shopping. Every class, let me tell you something, every seminar, everywhere, you should do this. This will change your state in a minute. You're sitting for 8 hours in a training. At the end of every hour for 1 minute, you just do this and put it down and you keep going. Number one, you're fitter, you're happier, have more energy. Number two, we've been through my Eat Journal. I was overweight. I struggled. Let me tell you something. I don't care what idea or invention you have. If you hate your body, you don't want to get up in the morning, you don't want to make love at night because you hate your body, you will never get true success, okay? And actually I got a great video of Les Brown telling us how important this book is, because you know what's in the book? You. There's nothing in the book, okay? The book is a place. It basically, if you bite it, write it. It took me 3 years to write this and conceive of it, because it is about a system that's not diet. Diet means decisions I eat today. I mean, we're in Miami these last 2 days. We're stuck in the hotel rooms. How do we have access to the right kind of fuel? No one gives that to you. This will help you understand what to eat, when to eat, how to eat, without ever, ever, ever dieting. I don't know what that means. And then more importantly, on the other side, by the way, there's my mentor, Jack LaLanne.
Yes.
If you don't know who the godfather of fitness was, please Google him. Please look at how when he was 70 years old, on his 70th birthday, he swam 1.5 miles across the freezing Alcatraz River. All right, so my son, he just walked in. We have an electric bike, right? Here's the fun thing. We were given the bike to promote. We just sold one, and so he just made a referral fee.
That's awesome.
I mean, he's 16 years old. How do kids make money? There's a whole, in fact, that's what I'm going to turn you on to next. But the other side of this journal, which is why I think everyone should do this 6-week training. It's simple. It's not costly at all. Is that you need to understand what makes you happy. So you can come to Forbes Factor. I'd love to see you. But also you can do this. One link, and I'm going to give you a whole bunch of links, Jim, at the end of this.
Yes,
I did a
that'd be
crazy
great.
discount on the Forbes Factor because, well, for Spin Gym, you go to the word number 5, 5minutefitnessfix.com. I took the price of that course from the big cost down to the price of a Starbucks coffee. So you could just take a look at that. So 5-Minute Fitness Fix just gets you into the world of, wait, how do I do this thing? That's not the big picture, but I will tell you what, you cannot build a pyramid if each block, if each brick doesn't do its job. My life is a pyramid. And I'm very excited, but I'll tell you what, if your foundation is crumbly at any time, you look at that beautiful skyscraper. I would say 90% of people go, whoa, look at the skyscraper. Jim and I, we look at the foundation. We look at what's underneath, the rock that it's put into. So otherwise, that big old skyscraper will come tumbling down. And I know you've seen it time and time again where companies fail for so many reasons, where people fail. They didn't have solid roots. And when you've got that emotionally, spiritually, financially, physically, that's part of your base. So one of my biggest advices to entrepreneurs is don't rush to the penthouse. There's enough up there. There's a view up there. But I'll tell you what, it's not what you think it is. Build your foundation solidly. In your foundation is mentors, is masterminds, is like-minded people who support you. Not people who say, oh, you can't do. No. I only want to hear like-minded people. That's why Zuckerberg invented the delete button. If mom is annoying you, delete. I'm just kidding. But surround yourself with those who uplift you. Tune into Jim. I have my weekly radio show called Forbes Factor. We do this because we bring in the best of the best and we learn from them. We compress time and then give it to you. So now, you're coming to Forbes Factor, whether you can and go to ForbesFactorLive.com. That's where
I'll have all these links for the listeners so that they can grab those also.
Right. So you can come, every other month throughout this year. I don't know if I can do it next year, honestly, because like Jim says, it's a small group of people. It takes a lot of energy. It's me for 5 days. I don't have other people speaking or pitching or selling. It's about you, finding you, branding you, and making money from you, and then you enjoying your life. That's what we do. And we do it all over the place. So don't miss Forbes Factor. This is the biggest no-brainer on the planet. You go to Shop Forbes Riley, you get a Spin Gym. Let me tell you something. Everybody, my goal, you know that little word Google, Jim? G-O-O-G-L? I have a little Spin Gym that hangs off the O and the G.
Yeah,
you got a computer, you're sitting down, every hour, you give me 1 minute. Come on, you got 1 minute. Yeah, please don't tell me, I don't have time to go to the gym. I don't want you to go to the gym. I don't care if you go to the gym. Unless it's goes Jim Paar, that's a different gym. You know?
That's good.
I know, right? So that's the second thing. Get your eating under control. Fill your body with good, nutritious food. I've got a lot of advice for that too, whether it's supplements or things we put in our body. My fiance just won a world championship title. Let me tell you something. When you live at a level that we do, we travel differently, we live differently, we speak differently. And I'll tell you what, the universe just goes, okay, I didn't sound like this last year. And the year before that, I didn't sound like that. We're on a growth pattern, and it's exciting as all get out to watch. But now, you ready for my next thing?
Yes.
And now one of the things I love about Jim is the king of resources. We put out a private Facebook page, a group of us, and I asked everybody every day to write their win, their obstacle, and their resource. And I got the best resources from Jim, so you're in the correct place. So one of the biggest issues that I always seem to have is technology. Now, I'm older than many of you, so I've seen a lot of technology. I remember when the telephone used to be tied to the wall, and you could only go as far as the cord. I remember my parents had a 40-foot cord so you could walk around the house, and then people would trip over it. There was a time when I was doing singing telegrams in New York City where I kept having to put, I had a beeper, and I get beeped like 100 times a day, and I was always putting quarters into the payphone. If you don't know what a payphone is, you're just too darn young. They were everywhere, and it was quarter. Well, that was frustrating. I kept saying to myself, can't I just have a phone in my pocket? Then I watched the original Star Trek. That tells you how old I am. They had a flip thing. Oh my gosh, wouldn't that be cool? Well, like I said, if you live long enough, you get to see these things come true. My grandmother watched horses turn into airplanes. It was pretty damn exciting for her to go, I don't know how they do it, but they're up in the sky now, and she grew up as a kid with horses and buggies. So now you got this thing, right? Now, Jim, this is it. You talked about me being transparent. When this thing first came out, your smartphones, I said to myself, that'll never take off. I was starting to lose my eyesight about 10 years ago. I didn't know why. About 2 or 3 years, I couldn't see much of anything. I stopped answering emails, and I thought, no one's ever going to pay attention to this because it's so small. How do you see it? Well, it turns out I had cataracts. I had hardening of my lenses. I had a surgery. My eyesight came back, and I started reading books again and writing and going, oh my gosh, yeah. I used to also be the person who carried the giant camera with them. Well, now everything, guys, is here. But here's a big problem. I don't know if you noticed, I talk a lot. But I also like to connect a lot, right? So, Jim, without giving away what I'm going to talk about, when you meet somebody, right, at a networking event, number one, you got to know your goal, right?
Absolutely.
And number two, you got to get their contact info. How have you been doing it?
I actually, on my phone, I have a digital business card of my own, and I ask them for their cell phone number.
Oh, see, you already got the answer. See, this is where this man is smart.
And I text it to them because then I have their contact information
all right. So
without them.
Well, most of you know you got a business card? Yes. I have, by the way, Jim, do I have the coolest business cards in the world?
You do, yep, absolutely.
I have this baseball card that is awesome. I give it to you.
Yeah, they're incredible.
Okay, let's start with, Jim, take this beautiful diamond pen, and I'm going to give this over to you, a $500 scholarship to anyone who'd like to come to Forbes Factor when they use your name.
Wow, that's awesome. I'd love that.
You guys hear that? That's a pretty big offer. Now I'm going to limit this. I'll limit this to 5. I was going to just do 1 for you, but you've got some pretty cool people. And I am all about elevating cool people to their next level. So when we talked about Forbes Factor, if you're somebody who immediately said, I can't afford that, I didn't even give you a price yet. How about you start saying in your life what you can't afford to miss? I can't afford to miss this. I can't afford to waste another year or 10 years doing the same thing the same way, expecting different results. I think that's the definition of stupidity. I've been there. Things don't change themselves. If you don't take action, nobody cares. You can die and nobody really cares. Your family cares. At what level do you want to play the game of life? Okay. So I'm going to give you a golden ticket, $500 off the admission price. That's a big deal. So
you
Jim,
hear that? Yeah. $500 off. Mention my name, and it's the first 3 people only that.
I'll give you 5. I'm going to do 5. And here's the thing.
Okay.
I don't even have a mechanism for what I'm offering you. So what they have to do, Jim, is they have to reach out to you and give their information.
Okay, good.
And you can pass along to Chuck. So this is really about you reaching out to Jim, thanking him for making it possible. Because podcasts are not easy. However, if you want to learn how to do a podcast, you must listen to what he says. He has some genius videos that teach you how to run your podcast. And it's a great, great vehicle. I've listened to about 8 of them just recently, from equipment to how to name it to the one you did. I mean, I'm a fan of yours as well. So just want to let you know that. Okay?
Thank you.
What Jim just said is when you meet somebody, you want to get their digital business card, right? There is a man out there who had the same frustration that I did. Now, you know what frustrations turn into? Billion-dollar companies. There was a guy who had an extra apartment and said, wow, if I could just rent this out. Well, my car is sitting here and I hate taxi cabs. Well, now you're looking at Uber, Lyft, Airbnb. If you're savvy enough as an entrepreneur and understand ClickFunnels, let me tell you, you only need that at a certain level. But the gentleman who put all of those tools together into one company is doing very well. He provided a great service. I just met a man who solved my next issue. Because when you meet me, I want to show you my videos. I want to get your contact. I want to hook up with you on Facebook and LinkedIn. And I want to do it quickly. So I'm going to have you go to something. Go to ForbesRiley360.com. It doesn't matter what your business is. He has designed this that once you build it, and it takes minutes to build, you change it. You do not need an app developer. You do not need anybody, any web guy at all. Nothing against web guys, but they leave, they come and go. You want control of this. And I'm going to do a training on how you do this on Mondays at 3 o'clock. Because getting it is not enough. Like somebody can buy you a car, but if you can't drive the Ferrari, who cares, right? And if you don't even know how to do, there's another thing too, you can drive it, but if you're not savvy enough to figure out how to take it in for inspections once in a while, that's going to run it into the ground. This is a really cool tool. If you could automate a piece of your life so that your business took care of itself, your life is better. It's more fun. And people are happier. You know, Jim, many, many years ago when I did my first Forbes Factor, I loved doing these transformational trainings. It was in my living room in 2000. And 2009. I did one afternoon, like an 8-hour training, got everybody all jazzed up, and they never heard from me again. Same thing with Spin Gym. I'd come and you do a Spin Gym training, I'd get you all jacked up, and they'd never hear from me again. I didn't have any systems in place. I didn't, one, know that they were available. I dreamed that they would be. And now, 10 years later, we can Zoom call. I wanted Zoom for so long.
Yeah.
I love that. I can just see you. I can touch you. I can train you. I can tell you what you're doing right and wrong all over the world. I want to say that today, this 2019, the technology, and by the way, I'm sure it's all going to change tomorrow, but today I am technologically happier than I've ever been. I am using my phone correctly. I'm connecting to people. I'm showing videos. Now, all of this does not work if you don't have your pitch down and you don't know your personal brand.
That's right.
Kind of ironic, isn't it?
That's right.
And that's part of what we teach in Pitch Mastery. And I know I've offered you guys a lot of fun things. Go to Forbes 360 and you're liable to see all of them. I just started to blow this up. And Jim, I got to tell you, these are going to be cool trainings for us to do for all of our clients.
Absolutely.
Businesses can use this. You can take one of those icons and make it Yelp, shop, free gift. It's also, you know, the other thing I love about the system that's been created, it has an icon for your websites. Jim and I have a bunch of different websites. We have a bunch of different Facebook pages. Imagine if all of that was right here when I pull up my 360. It is going to become, to me, I think, the gold standard like ClickFunnels.
Absolutely.
And I'm very, very excited about that.
I'm so glad you brought that up, because one of the podcasts I talk about is remarketing, retargeting, reaching that audience. And you just have to remember, like she mentioned, pitch mastery, which is so important because, and there was a story behind that, a big story of Forbes, all these stories, everything that she's created, this e-journal, by the way, anybody that reaches out to me, we're going to give away 2 of these e-journals. I have them personally because I bought a bunch of them when I was at Forbes Factor. So we're going to give away 2 of those, but everything that she's created has been from a conviction, from an emotional conviction. And then it was that revelation that, hey, the light bulb went on, I've got to create this. And that is why she is so successful. She gives value. Like, she doesn't set a time on coaching when you're at Forbes Factor Live. She literally gives you 100 times more value than you're ever going to pay for that. And so you just have to experience it. I mean, and what I say is, anybody that is an entrepreneur, if they're not given free value of some kind, and then you should not be an entrepreneur. And if you can't push through that dedication, the perseverance, the determination, and keep pushing, go around the obstacles, go through the obstacles, you just don't need to be in the space. But if you know that your mind can do it, you can succeed. And I'm so excited to have you on, Forbes. And so just a word of wisdom before we wrap up. What would be the most important thing, other than that everybody needs a coach? And I forgot to say, are you doing Thursday Billionaire Mastery still? Because I would like to invite people onto that and give them a link to that.
Yeah, you know what? We're rebranding some of this, but the access code at the moment that you can always give people is permission granted productions. That won't change.
Okay.
And what Jim is talking about is we do an inner circle where I actually get on a Zoom with all kinds of people from around the world, and we spend an hour every Thursday night meeting new people, hearing problems, doing hot seats, introducing celebrities. It is a very sacred 1-hour space that I'm so grateful to be part of. And you have completely free access. So the one thing I'm going to tell you, if you're listening to this and you're still here, one, congratulations. You sat through the entire podcast because you saw value. And people say to me, Forbes, you know, you're very heart-centric. I'm going to tell you, if you dare not to be heart-centric, shame on you. I know we all want to get out to the world and get our piece of the pie because we think we're owed something. Well, you're not owed anything. You can work really hard your entire life and just die that way. So my thought to you is put your heart and your why up front. If you're listening to this live, it's still the beginning of 2019. You're going to listen to this for the next 10 years. So wherever it is in time and space, leave this podcast and go, you know what? I'm going to do what Forbes Riley told me to do. I'm going to take a moment and reflect. I don't care if you meditate or sit quiet, and get out this. You know what this is? Here's a different color. I know they're hard to find nowadays. Here's another one called a pen. Take out a pen and a piece of paper. See that? That's paper. Why do I say that? I'm a hypnotist. I studied the brain and NLP, and there's a very unique connection between the act of writing and the way your brain functions. It's not typing. And write down what's most important to you. What do you value? Why are you doing any of the things that you're doing? And take a moment outside and look at the person who wrote that and ask some questions. Ask your higher whatever, going, what am I supposed to be doing with my life? And then write down the answer. You'll be amazed when your pen keeps writing. I did this when my dad passed away. I read the book Conversations with God, and I thought I would try it. And I do stand-up comedy. I remember exactly where I was when I did this because it was profound. I was at the comedy club bar. I don't even drink. I'm sitting at the bar with my diet soda or water or whatever I drink. And I said to dear Dad, what do you want from me? Where are you? I wrote all kinds of questions. And as soon as you write the question, your pen starts to write the answer. Okay, I don't know how it works. Just try it. And take that moment and say, these are the most important things to me. And then take that piece of paper and make a list going, you know what? I don't like showing up at 9 o'clock in the morning, Monday through Friday, building somebody else's dream. Or I love showing up 9 to 5 and building somebody else's dream. That works for me. That gives me security. But maybe I also listen to what Forbes said, and that millionaires have 7 streams of income. So I can do my 9 to 5, but maybe I also should talk about joining her travel club, or selling Spin Gym, or doing some entrepreneur stuff online, or opening a little Shopify store for yourself. Don't limit yourself to any one thing, okay? Most millionaires have 7. You at least need 2. And when you get quiet with yourself, you might want to ask yourself, what's stopping me from my greatness? Well, look at that question. What's stopping me from my greatness? My belief in myself, the fact I come from no money, the fact that I'm old, white, young, black. Look at that. So I will up my offer here. If there's one thing in your life that's haunting you, and maybe it was a personal trauma, in Jim's case it was a specific incident, the training that I do and my understanding of the human brain is that we can take that trauma, and while you never remove a trauma, right? That's the trauma, that's somebody touching you, that's somebody hurting you, that's a broken bone and nobody took you to the hospital, doesn't matter what it is, somebody fired you, and you don't think you're good enough, right? We take that, and this is a skill, and this is a thing that I do with people, and it's available to anybody. Stop suffering, okay? We can take that, and while we can't make it go away, we can put a memory and vision and image right in front of it and make that so powerful that you can't ever find this little guy anymore. And every time you try to access that trauma, it goes to this new thing. And that's what Jim is talking about. There is an openness. What I was pretending not to know is how much my voice matters, and I am a God-given role model to other people on this planet. Let me tell you something. Now that I know that, and I'm stopping pretending that that's not who I am, I gave a speech a couple of nights ago, and I ended up jumping up on the table. It's on Facebook, in the middle of this room. I did not plan to do that. I can't imagine why I would do that, but it was the right thing for me to do. It motivated everybody in that room out of their minds. And it's because I stopped pretending who I wasn't. And I stepped into who I get to be. You all have this question that you're pretending not to know something. You're pretending not to know that you're smart. You're pretending not to know that you're not a klutz, that you're attractive, that you're worthwhile. When you nail all that, your life will change. Come here for a second. There's an audience right here. Beyond Jim, you're on a podcast live for 16 years. Will you give me one inspiring thing that you've learned by hanging out with your mom all these years?
To never give up, because every day she keeps going at it and keeps doing better stuff, and she impacts more people, and that's just greater for the world.
Now, I will share something. I've had a lot of times I've had to travel away from you guys, and it's been really challenging.
It has, but
what advice would you give to a mom or dad who have to travel for work? What do they do to still be here with their kid and make it worthwhile?
Just reach out, because it's the most you can do at the time. And I guess your kids have to understand that that's the best, and that's why they get to live the way they get to live. And that's important, and they need to do what they need to do. And I understand that, and I appreciate you for that. That's how
That's so good. Thank you for sharing that.
I'll go in my pocket. And now, Mom, can I get $20 to go get lunch?
That sounds like me when I was a kid. And McKenna, your daughter, is amazing.
They're both extraordinary.
Because she is able to, she's done some incredible things with her own business.
And by the way, she got her driver's license 3 days ago.
Wow, that's awesome.
And on the first try, she passed her test. So I'm insanely proud of my daughter and my son. My son, and I will tell you, he's just leaving now. How beautiful was that? That's like the greatest gift a mom can get, because moms and dads feel guilty when they go to seminars and trainings and have to be away from their family. But I fought and I teach how to be in two places at one time, how to make the moments matter when you're here. You know, McKenna called me one day. She was about 8 years old, and I was at a seminar. And it's hard leaving your babies. And she said to me, and it broke my heart, I said, Mommy, do you still love me? My instinct, the mom instinct that most of us have, would say, oh, baby, I love you and I miss you. And my intellectual Forbes factor brain says, don't do that. Don't buy into that bullshit. Like, what? Yeah. And you know what I said to her? I said, McKenna, did the sun come up today? She said, yes, Mommy. I said, you know that every day that sun comes up, your mom loves you. You never have to ask that. You never even have to wonder. And it took her into a different space. And so we get on the phone and I said, Cannon, did the sun come up today? She's like, Mom, I know you love me. And I set those systems in place. That's a system. I have a system that I taught my kids. We used to do a what do you want thing. Every time they asked for what do you want, I'd make them do something like wiggle or touch their ears or whatever. But we'd always end that by saying, if you want a cookie, touch your nose. If you want a cookie, wiggle, wiggle, wiggle. If you want a cookie, turn to your brother and say, I love you. If you want a cookie, give him a hug. If you want a cookie, say, I love you, Mommy. You know what's happened? We used to do that hundreds of times a day. Every phone call, I get a I love you, Mommy. You just said it right here.
Yeah.
I trained them to do that. No, I did. You have to train your dog, but it trained it in a good way. In fact, sometimes I don't say I love you. My daughter gets mad. She's like, Mommy, why wouldn't you say that to him? Like, oh, shoot, I forgot. But you have that. That's what they are trained to do. And when you do that, you get this most amazing situation. My kids didn't fight because we created some systems. And I'll tell you what, Jim, at some point I might do a parental training course because they're twins. And we've had a great 16 years. It's been good and it's continuing to grow. And I can't wait to dance at their wedding when they're
so good.
50.
I think we should do a young entrepreneur workshop one time at your studio. I think that'd be great.
Well, I would challenge you to co-host that with me. We've got people in our worlds like Caleb Maddox, who is just this, dynamo now at 17, launched his first book when he was 14. There are more and more amazing young entrepreneurs. We could fill that space.
Absolutely.
That's a good challenge.
That would be great.
And you know who else should be invited to that is moms and dads who want to understand, because your kids are a little different if they are an entrepreneur, if they want to be making money. My daughter made $17,000 in 1 month. I will tell you, her teachers got mad at me. She's at a school and she was in her technology class. I said, we're going to learn how to get accredited in Microsoft and so you can type out your job resume. And my daughter said, well, I'm not going to get a job. And she didn't mean anything by it. And her teacher said, no, you have to get a job. And she said, no, I don't. I said, well, what are you going to do? She said, well, I'm going to end up making more money than you.
Right.
And I think she said something like, and everybody in this class is going to come work for me, in which case I got a phone call to the principal's office. And then I said to the principal, see this check that my daughter just got? She did make more money than her teacher.
Yeah.
I will explain to her that it's not nice to say that to an adult because they don't process it very well. But I'm an advocate of how my daughter thinks and how she teaches other people. And she'll tell you that she learned a lot by watching me. So as moms and dads, make sure your kids are watching. They see how you interact with your partner, with the world, and money. And all of those things, they learn bigger lessons than you saying, no, don't do that. They watch you. So be better examples.
And everything you do is truly to leave a legacy for them. Because when I was at Forbes Factor, you knew you had to get back to your kids that evening, but you spent it with us, which I was honored. But she really works hard to leave that legacy. So to wrap this up, what would you say to the listeners about myself? You've gotten to know me over the last year and a half. what would you say to them that I don't say about Jim Paar?
Jim is one of the most heart-centered people that you'll ever meet. Because of the trauma that he dealt with when he was younger, and several traumas, he has decided that to give back, I believe, is his reason for being. I watched him with his wife, and I was shocked and moved and motivated as his beautiful bride told a story that would destroy most people. And he stood there as this pillar of strength for another human being because that's how he's wired. Well, he does that with Jody eloquently. I mean, I've spent time in their home, and it's funny because you would look at him and go, well, he's so successful. Why would he need to be doing what he does? And he will never tell you this, but it's because he has no choice. It's just how he's wired. And we are lucky enough to experience him. And I'm going to take a little credit and say that I'm grateful he went through Forbes Factor because I've watched his growth since March. We are mentors to each other. And that's powerful. But his motivation and his goal and the way he goes about things, number one, he's wildly methodical. He's got systems in place. He wants to see you, whoever you are. If you've got the courage to say, Jim, help me, I believe he steps up and steps in. He touched everybody in my classroom. I have a young man named Tucker who's just in his 20s who went through some real traumatic stuff, coming out the other side on fire, and Jim just scooped him up and gave him some more direction. Joni, who had this idea for a business and people were taking advantage of her, he said, no, I'm not going to let that happen. And he's helped her. His problem is he'll help almost everybody, and he's learning he can't do that to everyone. But while he's still accessible, see, you can't get to Russell Brunson anymore. You can't get to Grant Cardone anymore. You could in the old days, but now they're so big. I'm going to say Jim is at that level where you can just get to him. I'm at a level where you can I make myself just available enough. I don't have to. But if you're listening to this, the smartest thing you can do is to take some action. If you listen to this and do nothing, what a waste. You didn't hear anything we said. And that's okay. By the way, not everybody, I think Cher said this, not everybody needs to be a rock star. Otherwise, there'd be nobody at a cashier at Walmart. But you make that choice. And it's yours for the taking. So my advice to you was to, if you want to live up to par, go to the gym. Wow. That's kind of
that's pretty good. I like that.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Forbes. I really appreciate you. We're going to leave all the links for the spin gyms. Again, we're giving away the scholarships, the e-journals. Just reach out to us. We'll leave an email link so that you can reach out to us. I'll also put all her websites in there, ForbesFactorLive.com. Make sure you go to that. Thank you so much.
I love you, baby. I really do. Thank you so very much. You made me very emotional. I think that you are definitely a brother from another mother, and I appreciate you more than you will ever know.